In this video, I'm going to show you how to post a blog using the X Pro editor. Okay, so first things first, go ahead and go to your website and type in /WP-admin, and you should have a username and password. Go ahead and log in. Okay, so now once you get to the dashboard, there's really only a couple things that you need to know. There's a lot of things going on in your backend WordPress website. So if you're not familiar with any of this, I suggest not touching any of it. The one thing that you do need to know is posts right here. Now, I will say this: there is one setting that could potentially throw this off. So one of the things that you need to do first is go to Pro, go to Settings, and you need to make sure that the X Pro editor is set to enable on posts. So right here, this is this little green icon right there. If you updated X Pro, one of the updates actually added this feature in, and it defaulted to not having the X Pro editor work on these posts. So if you get into your post and you cannot use the X Pro editor, this is where you're going to go to make sure this is on. So I can just click that. That'll be defaulted to off. Okay, so I want to make sure it's on, and then to save it, it's kind of goofy. Normally you'd come down here, there's nowhere to save it there, but it's actually up here in the right hand corner where you click update. Okay, so once that's checked, you're going to go ahead and go to posts, and this is where all of the blog posts are housed inside of WordPress. Okay, so as you'll see here, we already have a ton of blog posts here on this website. One of the best ways, one of the best tips that I could give you is to typically duplicate the post. If you don't have this feature, this is actually a plugin. I believe it's called Duplicate Post or something. Pretty easy. And if just Google it, Duplicate Post WordPress plugin, so that you can duplicate these posts over. We already have that downloaded, so we're going to go ahead and duplicate it. Okay. The other way to do it is to go up here and add new, and that's going to be starting from scratch, but I don't really want to show that right now because if you're a beginner, which is probably why you're watching this, you're going to need to kind of know how to use the editor first, and I want to show you something that is a little bit easier to deal with. Okay, so I'm going to go to edit here. This is the exact screen that you would come to if you were adding a new post. Okay, so you're going to see the exact same thing. This is the posts page right here. This is the back end of the page. All right, so you'll see here this duplicated the title over, and it duplicated the permalink over. So we need to change those first before we do anything else. I already have an article ready to go here. I'm going to bring it in from Google Docs. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go and copy the title here, and I'm going to paste that in. Now the second thing I need to do is I can't just go to save draft yet. I need to go in and edit the permalink too. You're going to highlight all of this, Command A or Control A, and Command or Control V. And I'm going to hit OK. That's important to change the permalink, otherwise it's going to duplicate from the previous post and show a copy to, and it's kind of a screwy. So I'm going to go ahead and do save draft. Get really used to doing this save draft, because if your computer freezes, if you lose Wi-Fi, well, Wi-Fi connection won't matter, but if you have to step away or whatever, you're going to lose all of your changes, so just get used to hitting that save draft. Okay. Categories, this is very important as well. You need to make sure that, okay, this is going to be spice it up, 5 herbs and spices to take your grilling up a level. So this isn't really specifically talking, this is a barbecue website if you haven't noticed by now. So brisket, no. Grill tips, yes. Grilling, yes. Kelly Bees 101, this is the primary category. And marinades, maybe. Ribs, sauce, seafood, side dish, smoking steak. Okay, so that should be good. Tags, grill tips, grilling, smoking, yeah. And now this featured image, this is what's going to get shown. So if I go here, I'm going to go to Kelly Bees, and I'm going to go to his blog. So a lot of times, whatever, the native WordPress page is typically going to show, the native WordPress blog page is typically going to show this featured image in the display. So whenever that pops up, the big blog page, this is where that image is pulling from. All right. So from here, we actually use Essential Grid for our to display our blog posts, and you can do that as well. If you're using Xtheme, which is probably why you're watching this anyway, you definitely get Essential Grid with your download, and I highly suggest it. It's a great plugin that we use for a lot of our websites. So super customizable. As you'll see, like we have black and white and then color. It's a cool little feature. So anyway, this is, as you'll see, the 10 grilling tips from Kansas City. We haven't posted that thing live yet. So this is the image from that previous post. So what I want to do is we want this picture right here. So I'm going to remove the featured image. And obviously you're going to have this picture saved to your computer, or you're going to need to anyways. I don't believe that I currently have this, and I can't save it from a Google Doc, so I'm just going to use another image. So I'm going to go set featured image, and that was chicken, I believe, so I'm just going to go find another picture of chicken because I think we have this in our current database. As you'll see, hopefully you're not getting too hungry watching this right now. Okay, so probably just go with that one maybe. Oh, actually it's right here. Huh. We're using some free stock photos, so I'm sure that that's probably where it came from. Okay, so I'm gonna hit save draft. Again, I don't want to publish this yet because it's not quite ready, and I don't want to. You don't ever want to publish a live post that is not edited or ready in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so the last thing you need to do before you get into the Pro Editor is you're gonna need to. You typically want to download Yoast SEO, which again is another plugin that I highly recommend. This is what controls what Google shows on a Google search result. Okay, and Yoast SEO also allows for you to tell Facebook and Twitter what to put as well. So spice it up, five. So this is fine. If you're really trying to hit the SEO on your website pretty hard, you're probably going to want to get a lot more keywords in here. But you know, that's a totally different lesson for another day. So social, this is pretty important. So when people share to Facebook, you're going to it's going to automatically pull in the featured image, and it may not pull in the text that you want. So what I like to do is I like to just match whatever's on the SEO. So I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste that in, and then the Facebook description, this is typically like the first few words. So I might, just do something like this, just to make sure it's pulling in the right thing. And then I'm gonna make sure, sometimes it can pull the first image on the page instead of the featured image. So I want to be sure that it's pulling the right image, and I'm going to go ahead and upload the same exact image. Okay, so if Yoast SEO is downloaded, which again I highly suggest, you're gonna need to absolutely make sure that you do this, and otherwise Facebook is going to display the thing in a pretty screwy way. Okay, as you'll notice, there's a Facebook here and a Twitter. So we don't do a lot for Twitter over this client, so I'm not even going to mess with it. But you do the exact same thing. I mean, what I would do at that point is just literally copy this over, Twitter description, copy, and then I would upload the exact same photo. Again, we don't really use Twitter much for this client, but anyway, save draft. Again, I'm not going to publish. I want to keep coming back to that. Especially if you're working with a live client, you don't want to publish because this is still a duplicate item. Okay? So if you're creating a new post, all of this would be the exact same up to this point. Everything is the exact same. All right? All right, so now we're going to go ahead and edit with Pro. Again, if you don't see this Pro editor in here, it's because that setting needs to be changed in Pro right here. Okay, otherwise it's going to show you visual and text, and unless you want to edit with the HTML editor, you're going to need to make sure that setting is checked. All right, go ahead and edit with Pro, and the Pro editor can sometimes take a little bit longer to load up. So blog posts should be relatively simple. You never want to go too crazy with them. That's obviously our professional opinion here at Sigalo Media, but a lot of this is already globally controlled through our CSS editor. So you'll notice that we've actually built this entire post in X Pro, but we use the CSS editor, which if you, again, don't know anything about that, don't touch it. Okay, so one of the things that we did was we don't like how Xtheme displays the default page. So that's why we've created something completely new in here. We're actually hiding the featured image, okay, because it just makes it easier. We're just going to go in here and we're going to put in the exact same image again of that piece of chicken for the post. So again, I think that's about the 1,000th time I've said again in this video, but just be sure that if you're starting from scratch, if you want to use the default editor, use the default editor. We just don't like it. But if you're starting from scratch, you're going to need to, learn the layout, the elements, the inspector. These are all items that are very. The X Pro editor is extremely powerful, and it's super simple, but it's extremely powerful. You can basically do anything you want. We've designed some amazing websites through the X Pro editor. You just kind of need to know how to use it. So, very brief tutorial. Every single section is laid out into a row, and then every row is laid out into columns. So if you'll see here, we have a 2/3 and a 1/3 column sitting inside of one row, sitting inside of one section. It's just like a typical layout, just like a typical WordPress editor, front-end editor. Okay, so then the elements sit inside each one of these columns, and you click on elements right here. It's all drag and drop. So if I wanted to pull in a text element, for instance, I would just click this and I drag it over. Okay. Now the editors right here, if I wanted to actually edit that text, I go to edit text, and then I can type in testing for a video, and then it's going to change it right here in the front end. Pretty cool, but I don't want this in there. Okay. Now what I want to do is go ahead and replace this text, because this is the old text. So I'm going to go to here, and I am going to go ahead and copy all of this over. Now there are two places that you can paste this in, and I want to be sure that I paste this into so you've got the actual HTML right here, and you've got a front-end text editor here, which if I copy and paste into here, it's going to keep the same formatting as this. So it's going to bold these, it's going to make sure that the spaces are there. So I want to make sure that I'm pasting inside of the actual text editor. Sometimes it gets a little screwy like this, so there's too much space there. So I want to go in here, I'm going to go ahead and take out a lot of these big spaces. A lot of times too, the way the HTML editor is working on the back end, it doesn't actually matter. But let's see how it looks once we get finished with this. All right, so that's all good. Move that up. And this is our new text. And we want to go ahead and keep this in here. This goes into one of our funnels for this client, and we paste it into every single one of our posts. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit save down here. This is also something that here's what I'm going to always recommend. Don't ever write something brand new inside of Xtheme. Okay, always write it somewhere else, like in a Google Doc, Evernote, or a note, and then paste it in. There have been so many times where I have actually written into Xtheme directly into the X Pro editor, and it'll freeze or something will happen, and I completely lose all of my progress, and it is the most frustrating thing in the world. So just be sure that you're always copying and pasting into here. Don't try to write directly. So, all right, the column over here, this is using a widget, and it's pulling in the main sidebar. This is useful to know because if you're turning off the default, so I'm going to actually go ahead and view this post, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. If you go back to the post, you have a choice of the layout. Okay, so what do I mean by that? If I come all the way down here, I can choose full post layout, which would change the default editor. Okay, you can also change the formatting in here: standard, link, gallery, quote. Yeah, unless you're a little bit more advanced, I wouldn't touch any of this quite yet. But these are just useful to know in case you're dealing with a situation where you've got all the walls closing in on these things and it's super frustrating. You're like, well, how do I get I've got two widget areas right now, the sidebar is pulling in, I don't know how to get it off. So this is where you would do it. Full width post layout, and then your formatting over here. Okay, so last thing that we're going to do, always go and view this thing on mobile. This is the icon right here, this little mobile device. I want to view this thing on all screen sizes to make sure it still looks okay. Our sidebar is kind of looking a little bit weird right now. It gets the job done, but again, this is all controlled through the widget area inside of that would be done through Appearance. Whoops, didn't mean to click on that. Appearance, and then it's under Widgets. So if you're ever curious, that's where it is. So we'll just show you really quick in case you ever need to edit something in there. So again, Appearance, Widgets. And there are multiple different widgets that you can actually pull in, but I put the main sidebar here. This is just the same thing. I drag and drop these things in. Okay. So we're running our form through the Convert Plus widget. This is probably way more information than you need to know, but anyway. So I'm gonna hit save again. We haven't viewed on the other two sizes yet. I just get used to hitting save all the time because I don't want to lose my progress. So it looks good, and that looks good. All right, so we're good to go. I already saved it, so we're golden. I'm going to hit this button. This is the fastest way to get back to the post itself. If you'll notice, the permalink here that means that this is not published yet. It is not live. So I'm going to go to Edit Post. And I don't want to actually post this live right now. I want it to post next week. Okay, so how do I do that? This is super useful when you write a ton of content and you're ready to post for 2 months worth of stuff, but you're not ready to, you don't want it all to go live right away. Okay, so what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to go to, this says publish immediately. I'm going to edit that. And what I want to do, it's still August. I'm going to look at my calendar. So I want this to post, let's say I want to post on Tuesday the 28th. So I'm going to type in the 28th, and this is in military time. So let's say I want to post at, I don't know, let's just put a random number here. It doesn't really matter, but just keep in mind that that's going to be military time. Usually that's the default one. So I'm going to hit OK, and now this just changed from publish to schedule. So I'm going to go ahead and hit schedule. So this is going to remain in draft mode until August 28th. And that's it. That actually is going to go ahead and post in the exact day that you need with the post that you need, and you're all good to go. So that one's all updated, and if you go back to your post menu, you will be able to see that it's scheduled. Pretty cool. All right. If you have any questions, just go ahead and comment below, and we'll try to get those answered. Thanks.